Ryan Mauro, our guest, ClarionProject.org, National Security Advisor for them, analyst for them. He's also the executive director of WorldThreats.com. And you see him all over the place. You see more of him on a lot of networks because, well, his analysis is comprehensive. It's not knee-jerk. It's not reactionary. It's informed, and we appreciate him. Ryan, last night, Rand Paul gave a response to the president's speech. And I took just a couple comments that he had made, statements that he made, and I wanted to get your thoughts on them. So let's go to cut number 4. Roll it.
12 years after we were attacked by al-Qaeda, 12 years after 3,000 Americans were killed by al-Qaeda, President Obama now asks us to be allies with al-Qaeda. Americans, by a large majority, want nothing to do with the Syrian civil war. We fail to see a national security interest in a war between a leader who gasses his own citizens and Islamic rebels who are killing Christians.
I thought you would like to respond to that because we've talked about that choice before, haven't we?
We have. First of all, Senator Rand Paul is just getting a lot better at debate and presenting himself, and it's really stunning to see. He's going to be a major contender, and the way he articulates these issues is very powerful, even if I disagree with it. Mm-hmm. I think he's oversimplifying the issue, particularly in his first statement that the U.S. is going to be allied with al-Qaeda in Syria. No, we're not. We are going to be working with the moderate rebels, or at least attempt to work with moderate rebels. It's true that some support could end up falling into the hands of al-Qaeda, but that doesn't mean that you're allied with them. He's giving the impression that Obama wants to go in and arm al-Qaeda and say, hey, let's make nice and let the past be the past and start working together. And that's not the case. As for what's happening to the Christians, yes, that's terrible what's happening to the Christians, but he's making it sound like Christians are united behind Assad, and that's not the case. There are many different types of Christians in Syria with different political beliefs, and over at ClarionProject.org, we have an interview with one of them, with a Christian that was tortured for opposing the Assad regime. He's now part of the opposition, and you can get his thoughts based on his experience in Syria with the Christian community as to what's going on there.
Ryan, the obstacle is the fact that we are talking about a military strike, and we even have General Dempsey going, I don't know what the outcome really is of this. What it's all about. And we should be talking about a comprehensive policy. Did President Obama's speech last night do anything to address those concerns and to outline a comprehensive policy?
Oh, no, his speech was an epic fail. It's not going to move anyone's opinion in a positive direction. In fact, it probably did damage. And that's because he didn't zero in on the main misconception that's driving opposition to the war, besides war fatigue, which I completely understand, which I think he did address well. But the point that he missed was focusing on how the fact that the rebels cannot be treated as one entity, and he had almost a dismissive tone about the fact that there are radical elements among the opposition. His answer was that al-Qaeda thrives in areas where people don't like America, and that's, I guess, a fair point. And he said, we're going to be sure to work with the moderate opposition. That's not good enough. That's not going to make Americans relax when they have legitimate fears over the Islamist elements of the opposition. He didn't go into any detail about it at all. And so or even make a strong case about how this can hurt al-Qaeda, how allying with moderate rebels, much like we allied with moderate elements in Iraq, can deliver a very serious blow to al-Qaeda. He just didn't go into it at all. So I think it was a failure of a speech.
Okay. What if some of the arguments that have been made against military action is it'll exacerbate the situation, and we don't know how Assad will respond. He could use them if he believes he's going out. He could use them more to protect himself. We really just don't know how this will unfold. Is that a reason for inaction, to recognize the fact that, hey, it's a civil war, so maybe the best thing is to stand on the borders and contain it?
It's a good argument. I think there's logic and evidence behind it, even though I come down on the opposite side. That's a perfectly reasonable point of view. But I think that this new diplomatic opportunity really does mean that we should delay military action, even though I supported it before. and that's because the possibility that Assad could even just give up a portion of his WMD voluntarily at the insistence of the Russians is an opportunity worth taking. And any amount of WMD that he gives up is going to be more WMD than we were going to destroy in these military strikes that John Kerry was saying will be unbelievably small. So this is an opportunity that I think we should not jeopardize. We should keep military action on the table, but if Assad wants to give up even just 10% of his WMDs, then let's take him up on it.
How damaging is it to have Putin, if this deal goes through, take the position he is taken? What does it do to our allies, and what message does it send to our enemies?
Well, the moderate rebels are furious right now of the Syrians because they understand that this very wise maneuvering by Assad and Russia was aimed at them. Their goal is to have, the goal of the Russians is to have Assad stay in power. And so, according to the people I've talked to, what Russia did was they approached Assad and they said, look, give up your WMD or give up part or whatever secret arrangement they have, but they said, in return, we will arm you to the teeth with conventional weapons, because we know the world doesn't care when you kill people with conventional weapons. They only care if you do it with poison gas. And that's a very smart calculation on their part. And so Assad is believing that he's going to come out of this stronger and with the capability to kill more people and to really hurt the rebels. And so it's very smart maneuvering. And I had one source tell me that the Russians are going to provide the MiG-29 fighter jet that they originally told Assad they were going to give, and then they backed away from doing because it's advanced enough to really help them bomb the rebels. And so that looks to be the direction that we're moving in. Russia arming Assad and saying your chances at surviving are even better if you take this deal.
Say Assad does survive. What do you see happening 3 years from now? We take a good look at Iran and the region. Tell me, what do you see?
I think Iran laughs. I think that Iran accurately views Syria as an extension of its own territory. You cannot divide the two. And if Assad is able to beat back the rebels with Russian munitions and American indifference, I think that is going to have damaging effects on us for generations, because any rebel force that could potentially say, okay, we're going to take on an enemy of the United States for our own reasons, but we can count on America to be an ally, they're going to remember the Syrian rebels that were abandoned when they could have prevailed.
Is this bigger than our walking away from the Shia uprising in 91 in Iraq?
I think it's equivalent.
More damaging? Equivalent? Okay.
I'd say it's equivalent. Yeah, it's a very similar situation.
The amazing, the great Ryan Mauro, ClarionProject.org, national security analyst. They can go right now. They can go to ClarionProject.org and see that interview. Yes. Yes, the interview with a Christian from Syria, so you can hear what they think. Ryan, thanks, man. You're great.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. Live with honor in your life, compassion in your heart. Remember to always, always keep the faith in Jesus Christ. Know that God knows you. God loves you. He created you. He has a plan for you. You're worth it. Right where you're at. Thank you for those in uniform who protect us. Appreciate you. And we haven't forgotten the victims of Benghazi or 9/11. AFR Talk.